So welcome. This
Oh.
is, what's that? This is ACDC.
I'm sorry, I'll go back to no.
You're distracting me. Hi,
Sorry.
this is ACDC, All Real Estate Investing and Finances. My name is Araceli, and I am a transition financial wealth advisor, and I help single professional women to rearrange their finances so they can have more cash flow, pay their debt quicker, and retire early. And I'm here with my partner, Colette. Colette, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Colette Rabba. I am a residential real estate broker, and I love coffee. I need to have coffee. I help not just women, I help people, families, anybody who would like to buy a house. My specialty is the West GTA. So anywhere from Etobicoke all the way to Burlington, even Niagara Falls. No, not Niagara Falls. That's too far. I will refer you to someone out there. But if you ever need any advice, this is why we do this show, because we want to help you. We want to bring you together with lots of great people, not just us, but we have a team of lawyers and home inspectors and mediators. You know, so many people that if we don't have the answer, we will help you find the answer. So welcome. I'm so excited about today because we're going to talk about
Colette has a great subject today. So how to furnish a short-term rental. This is awesome. She has good experience on this. So I'd like to hear that today. So go ahead, Colette.
My background, so just so people know who I am a little bit more. So what I actually started, oh my gosh, it's such a long story, but I'll make it short. So basically what happened was I was working, I had 2 little kids. I really didn't like what I was doing. I went back to school for I wanted to be an interior designer, which means more commercial properties, things like that. Because of life and because of time, I remember going to classes. I was pregnant and I really wanted to get things started. One of my teachers basically said to me, she said, you know what, you're so good at what you're doing already. Just hang out your shingle, call yourself a decorator and go for it. And you can still do renovations as long as you don't take down walls. And I said, okay, great, I'm going to do that. So my first, well, I don't know how many careers after that, but my first passion was interior design, and I really love it. But it's something that I wanted to pivot to real estate. I wanted to pivot to real estate because I couldn't find someone with the same set of skills as me to help me. So one of the first, when I was looking for my first income property years and years ago now, I said to the agent that I was working with, show me some properties that I can fix up and, either flip or I can use as a rental. So, working with this person, we would go around houses and I would say, why are you showing me this house? I need to put like $30,000, $40,000 into it. How much can I get in rent? How long will it take me to pay off the renovation? Things like that. And she couldn't answer those questions. She goes, oh, that's not my job.
What?
So I said, okay, that's strange. And then I went to see another house with her and I just said, okay, fine. I'm going to do this on my, I'll figure out the numbers on my own.
If I can say something, Colette, one of the things that a real estate investor is looking for, it's a realtor that is also an investor and that understands what has to happen in the house. Why are you looking for an investment? What kind of investment it is? So it is very, very important that if you're looking to get yourself into real estate investing, to find a realtor that is an investor as well. It's very important. It's so important.
Yeah, and that's one of the questions you have to have your realtor answer. So that's what I do. That's why I love doing it. And it's sort of funny how things came about, because then she said after a couple times that we would go to see houses and I would say things to her. She goes, well, it seems like you know a lot. Like, why don't you just get your real estate license? And I said, okay. I had no idea. Like, really, it was all about timing. It was all about passion. It was all about, how do I figure this out for myself? Is this the right fit? And my kids were a little bit older at that time. So I said, okay, this is actually really good timing for me to get my license. So I went back to school again, got my license. I still did the decorating stuff on the side. I actually, from decorating, I did some staging, and then I got to know the real estate industry from that perspective as well. You know, I want to say like staging just started at that point. So now, you know, like this is the thing, when you hire me, you're not just getting me for, you know, my negotiating skills and for the paperwork, you're also getting me because when I walk into a house, I can see the bones, I can see how much things are going to cost, I can see, you know, with a resale house, even if it's like, looks like it's renovated, I can look at that house to say that renovation was done by an amateur, or if it was done by a professional. Things like that, you know, how much is that worth to you when you go and you buy a house that might look really, really good in the pictures. And then when you see it, you go, oh my gosh, like, looks like somebody put it together with some Scotch tape and gum. You don't want to buy that house.
Oh God,
I would rather have, personally speaking, and we've talked about this too, I personally rather have, let's say a house that's built in the 70s. I just saw this fantastic house that was built in the 70s. Nothing was done. I would rather see a house like that that can be gutted and you could start over because the bones are good. This is what we're talking about. But we're not talking about flips today. We're going to talk about decorating a house for a short-term rental. So I have a couple slides. I'd love to share them. Are you ready?
Yeah, for sure. This is something so important for people, especially now, because what you want, if you do have a room or if you have an area of your house that you're able to rent and get a little bit of extra money, would be fantastic. But if you furnish it correctly, then you will get top dollars for it. So.
Well, yeah, so we're talking about, so that could be a whole other episode, but we're talking about short-term rentals today. So even like when Araceli says top dollar, she means like when you're renting the place, there are fundamental things that you have to look at and remember before, and design, I can't stress it enough. If you believe in staging, this is really staging to live for that specific short-term renter. So when I say short-term rental, there's two types of rentals. One is an Airbnb, which you might have a minimum of 1 day of a tenant, or you could do a longer term, which is for a few months. So anything that's under 1 year is considered a short-term rental, or a STA. Sometimes I call it STA, or, you know, that's the lingo in the business, which is short-term accommodation. So I'm, you know, forgive me if I don't say rental, but I mean, you know, we're all talking about the same thing. So how to furnish a short-term rental. And this is the thing, it's going to go really quick. And, you know, I just want to put out a couple points here. And if you have any questions about this too, this is something that please call me anytime. We can talk about it. Also, Araceli she has experience in rentals, but not short-term. So that's how we differ.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So the main goal here is to make the house as visual pleasing online. So you have to remember, people haven't visited the house like an open house, like when you're selling a property or when you're renting it as a long-term tenant. Nobody's visiting the house before they rent it. So it has to look good online. And then you also want to create a warm and welcoming and comfortable space when they actually get there. So, and you can obviously put it, if you can accomplish that by putting that into the photos too, then you got a winner. So the overall look, what I like to see when I look around and I see who's my competition, but also if I want to go somewhere, and this is sort of international, if I dare say that, because if I'm looking at a place that is in another country, I still want the same things. I want neutral walls, I want neutral art, I want neutral furniture. Always create a focal point, because your photos will always look the best. So you want to create a focal point. You understand what this room is. It's bedroom, right? I like to say hotel-like furniture because it's sturdy and strong. You don't know who's coming to stay. If it's some guy who's like, 300 pounds, you have to make sure that that furniture will hold that person, right? Or even a couple, like 2 people in a bed. You can't have wiggly legs. You can't have anything like a little, fine and dainty. No, that's not the case here. Keep that for your own house. I also like headboards. So I like to look for hard surfaces, not upholstered, because you can wipe them. So anything that, you know, somebody's head, somebody's leaning against it, you really want that to be wipeable. And especially now because of COVID, as many hard surfaces, and you know, you have to still make it warm, but there's a way to do it. Wood is a great way because those rich tones on a, let's say, white wall will bring you that warmth. So yeah, absolutely wipeable surfaces. If you can't get a, you know, let's say in the headboard case, if you can get something leather or vinyl, that's wipeable too. Now the trick to decorating rooms in this type of style is no more than 2 or 3 patterns. So you can see from this picture, there's actually 3 patterns here, let's say. So the little cushion, and it's all the same color scheme too. So you see it's very brown.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, I like it too. And you have a plant. So live plants, I didn't write it into the little presentation today, but live plants, if you can get someone to water them, or if you can get the tenant to water them, live plants is always great to have because it creates that warmth and you know, cleans the air too, right? So hard furnishings, this is another great example of color. So you can see far in the back picture, there's just one little orange pillow and it ties into those oranges on the table and the chairs. So you still have that same tone. Hard furnishings, like dressers, tables, lamps, things like that, night tables, again, go neutral, all the same wood tones. Oh, sorry, I'm going ahead. Don't spend a lot of money, please. Don't spend a lot of money because it hurts if somebody comes in and scratches a surface or damages something and you have to replace it. So do you want to replace that chair that costs $500? Or, you know, you can go and get a really good chair, very similar style for maybe, you know, 150, 200. So think about that. If you had to replace something, would you put it into a rental? Mm-hmm. Personally, no. I'm a great bargain shopper. I still want that overall look. So when you have a plan with color and textures and, you know, the tones, you can find it. You just have to do a little research. Again, everything should be wipeable, minimize doors and drawers. And why I say that is because people leave stuff behind all the time. I can't tell you how many little trinkets that I found in a drawer or a diary or, you know, things like that where people just forget they threw it in a little drawer. It's a rental. Like you're there for a week or you're there for a couple days. Like you don't need a drawer. You can leave stuff out. So that's a bit of a pain too when you have to send back stuff back to the owner if you want to be a nice landlord.
Well, it depends what they leave. If they leave their cell phone, yes. But if they leave a toothbrush, I probably won't send it back.
No, but people have left things like, in my experience, people have left things like diaries, like kids' things, clothes, little children's clothes that go behind the bed. Okay, fine, I understand that. But in the drawer, I had one family where the kid would put things in all the kitchen drawers. Okay. So I had to go and look through all the drawers and say, what the heck is this? Like, where did this come from? And then move things around too that were my things. So that's the other thing too. Don't have too many tchotchkes because people will, especially if they're little, kids like to take them and move them around and you think that they're gone or thrown out or taken. But no, they move it because they want it by their bedside or they want it, you know, in the den or somewhere else where they're playing with it, and then it disappears. So things like that, minimize all that stuff. So this room is a really good example where they do have decor items, but they're bigger. You would know if they go missing. So you're not going to go and you know, put too many little trinkets and things like that around. You don't want to do that.
That is actually a good point. One thing that you can leave there that people can take is like maybe a bottle of wine. I was in a short-term rental for a month.
It's coming.
2 weeks. So, and I really
You're spoiling it.
Sorry.
You're spoiling it. It's coming. No, but it is. It's a very good point.
Yeah.
The other thing too is like pick the same metal. So in this photo, this is not a great photo for that, because you'll see the lamp in the back is gold. So just so when I say pick the same metals, so you can see the lamp behind there is gold, and you have the table that is black metal legs, but then the chairs are silver, and then you have that the other chairs that are, you know, more close to the kitchen island, they're black. So you can mix metals. I don't want to say that you can't do it, but it takes a designer to really make it work, if you know what I mean. Like you don't, so let's say for example, that dining room table, it's still black and very dark gray chair. And then the other chair is very close to them. The ones at the island have a black leg. So that works, but don't go and buy gold chairs, for example. Like that's not really, you know, advisable. But anyway, so we can talk more about that. And it's just to keep things simplified. So if, you know, everything has to be, you know, stainless steel, I'm going to get everything stainless steel. When you're shopping, it's just easier. So for soft furnishings, so look for, you know, there are things like, when I say soft, so you understand what soft furnishings are: drapery, your sofas, your cushions, anything that's upholstered, bedding. So the one thing I always try and tell people, even like before what I was saying about 3 patterns, 3 colors max, and they should either complement each other or be different tones of the same color. So in this photo, I believe the carpet is got that blue in it. The wall you know, it's hard to say when you pull photos off the internet. I think the wall is a very dark blue. The sofa's like a denim blue, and it's pulling all from outside of the water that they're looking out of. So really the colors that are coming in are from nature. They have brought that in to make you feel like you're part of that whole outside as well. And even the photo has blue in it, or their piece of art is blue. So this is the thing where you're wanting to really create some kind of warmth and comfort. This is not a cluttered room. You don't need a whole bunch of stuff in a room like this. I would love to stay in this place. I think it'd be great.
It's very nice.
Right? Yeah, it's very nice. So, and even the cushions, like there's not a lot of pattern. There's one, and I think that might be a lamp in the corner that has the same pattern as the sofa, or the sofa cushions. Again, don't spend a lot of money. You don't have to. This is a very simple idea. If you just have it a thought, you know, to say, okay, this is my scheme. This is what I'm going to do. Everything could be wipeable and washable except for the sofa, unless those cushions, if you go and buy a sofa, those cushions usually have a zipper that you can take those cushions out and launder them. I throw my cushions in my washing machine. Do you do that to yours too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, but there's some sofas now that they actually sew the cushions right on.
Yeah, that's more difficult.
No, I don't like that. So you can also do slip covers if you want. But I like to just cover sofas in throws too. And people, they're comfortable, they're soft, people don't mind. But really that's up to whatever you decide to do. And minimize the throw cushions, especially because it's COVID. You don't need a lot of cushions, really, in my opinion. 1 or 2, that's it. So artwork. So this is a funny story. Actually, in my STA, I had a photo. I don't know if you know who Modigliani is, the artist. So it's an artist that paints women mostly. And this was, you know, he's a long time dead, but he's very famous too. I had a Modigliani-esque picture in one of the bedrooms. And I got a note from the renter after saying, I'm sorry, we broke the frame of that painting. And I said, oh, well, why? And what happened? And she said, well, the girl that was staying in that room really did not, she was, I think she might've been drunk or something, but she said, she didn't like it. She couldn't sleep. She took it down and put it somewhere else. And then when when they were leaving, she hung it back up and it fell and it broke. So you have to kind of remember all these things. That's why, again, I say don't spend a lot of money, because you don't know what people are going to do to your things. So if it's precious, don't put it in the house. Carpets get stained, people spill, you know, they eat, even though you don't eat all over your house, you can't control that, right?
That's right.
And the same rules apply for artwork as they do for the interiors, for everything else. So when I say, you know, nothing offensive, I didn't think a picture of a woman was offensive. So it's hard. It's hard.
So
but
what would you consider non-offensive?
Well, that's the thing. So something like this blue photo or this blue watercolor of just blue,
Something like more
something
modern.
Right, something modern, something even like if you look at even hotel rooms, they always have things like streetscapes are very popular,
Yeah.
or landscapes of just neutral, ocean or mountains or trees, things like that, or even things that are just not even I don't even know what to say. Like, I want to say boring, but that's not really the right word. But something very, what can I say, non-offensive. It's something abstract, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And maybe if somebody does find it offensive, I don't know what to say. If you look at this blue painting, do you see somebody's face in there? I don't know. Anyway, but even something like this. So this is the interesting thing when I was researching this. So this painting, the one that's the comic book strip, this is also by a very famous artist, and it just recently sold for $165 million.
Wow.
So even though you spent, and that goes back to, even though you spend a lot of money, obviously nobody's going to put $165 million painting in a rental.
Yeah.
But if you think about spending money on a rental.
Well, how about a poster of it?
Absolutely, you could have a very nice frame and put, so there's that, but this is what I'm saying. You can have the same look as something very, very expensive, but don't spend a lot of money. This is a rental. You want to have it a little interesting. You want to have something that's really, memorable. That's my word. So anyway, so the artwork and decor accents, so nothing offensive. Keep to your color palette with your 3 colors, and also your metals. So if you have a metal frame, make sure it's the same color as the other metals in the room. Don't spend a lot. That's why I'm saying it. You don't have to spend a lot, and go big. So anything that, you don't want to have these little tiny paintings unless you do something like what's behind you, which is like a little gallery. That's fantastic too. So physically you're taking up a lot of space. So something like me, this is like the size that you really want. Go big mirrors. They always bring in more light, which is always great.
Yeah, I like mirrors.
Minimal stuff. Yeah, and minimal stuff on the walls. But so that's why you don't want to have too much clutter too. And do have one interesting thing in each room. So you want this place to be memorable. You want people to remember. Okay, I'll give you an example. It's the funniest thing. I went to Walmart. I know I want to say I hate Walmart, but I just happened to be in Walmart and I saw a giant fork and a giant spoon. And I bought them and I hung them in the kitchen at my Airbnb in Prince Edward County. Do you know how many people comment on those? I even have people taking them off the walls and taking pictures with them and sending me the picture. I'm like, okay. It's so funny though, because that wasn't my thought. I thought, okay, it's just interesting to be on the wall. But it's funny how people are just attracted to certain things. So, even if it's not offensive, it's just a fork and a spoon. So really, if you look at those things, but it's memorable and you want it to be a good, memorable thing. It's not like, oh my gosh, there's like something stinky in the kitchen or something that you can't control, that there's lots of spiders. That's not memorable. That's not the good memorable I'm talking about. So the couple last things with kitchen. So this is the hardest part. This picture is kind of strange because I think it's a little bit too much. You don't need all of this stuff. You don't need measuring cups. You don't need, tons of measuring cups. You don't need tons of baking stuff. You really just need a very general collection of things. So you want a couple good knives. You want some cooking utensils. You want some good, at least 1 pot or 2 pots, different sizes, at least 1 frying pan, a couple baking sheets, a couple bowls, cutting board. That's it. Kettle's always good. Coffee maker's always good. Leftover containers is really fantastic too. And I always have plastic wrap and foil. So people have leftovers. I know they're eating there. it's nice. And I do get comments back to say, thank you so much. You know, we didn't know what to bring. It was great that you had this or that, and you had coffee. So what you were talking about, coffee and chocolates in a jar, or a nice personal touch like wine. There's your wine. So that to really makes people feel welcome, that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. I even leave a little personal note in my place. So when somebody comes over and says, I'm so looking forward to enjoy your stay. If you need anything, here you go. Here's my phone number. Call me anytime. So that again, even though they know they're staying in your house or your property, they're welcome. They feel welcome, and that's a big deal. For bathrooms, so this is an interesting thing too. Depending on your style of what you want to create, I love the picture on the left where the Q-tips and the soaps and things like that. And sometimes I'll go and I'll buy some little toothpaste and things like that. This is great, but the problem is little fingers, if there's kids and they get a hold of the jars, they could break the lids. Are you okay with that? Maybe you want to get a chunkier kind of container, or maybe you don't want to have a lid, things like that. So really think about the worst case scenario before you buy these beautiful jars.
Yeah, they're actually really beautiful. But I would probably buy something that is maybe plastic in case they break, so it's not a big deal, or also metal, right? But metal, you can't really see through.
Yeah. So there's other ways to do it too. You can do even like what hotels do, where you have like a little tray and you just put out one soap and one little toothpaste and things. So there's ways to do it. I just really like that picture, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I wanted to do like a higher scale rental, I would absolutely do that. And you can get chunkier glass containers too that maybe don't have lids. So you just still have a beautiful container, maybe put a ribbon around it and people can see inside it. And you don't need the lid. The lids are the ones that usually break. Things like this, I really love. I actually have these as well for soap and shampoo and conditioner in my places, because it's really easy, especially with COVID. You don't want people handling stuff and you don't know what they've done, if they've used it, if they've touched it, This is so easy. You can wipe the little, buttons. You can fill it when it needs to be filled. Very, very easy. So that's bathrooms. If you want to do a hair dryer, leave a hair dryer. That's a nice touch. If you want to do towels, that's a whole other thing. So this is my little extra. And this picture, I wanted to test you guys. Would you think what I've said in this whole episode, that this is a really good idea?
No.
This room.
Too many hazards in there.
Right, way too many hazards. It's just too cluttered. There's way too many fidgety, finicky blankets and, the tassels. And it is beautiful. Keep that for your own home. Having a Christmas tree right there by your bed, I don't get it.
Maybe it's Christmas.
Yeah, maybe it's Christmas. But it's really one of these things that you have to also think about hazards. So even the hanging chair.
Yeah.
Even though it's hanging on, it looks like that's a beam and it's really strong. I don't know if I would really leave a kind of chair like that in, you don't see a chair like that.
Yeah, those things I think is more personal. If you know that you're using that space, that you're careful with it. But if you don't know who's going to stay, you try to minimize anything that has like little, like those tassels, and even the the lights. Like if they get caught or they hang something or they touch it.
Right. What if you hit your head on one of the bulbs and it shatters all over the bed? And then how many cushions do you want to wash? And like, oh my God. And the artwork, if that falls on a little kid, like these are the things that, so these are my little extras. So you want to minimize rugs only because people catch their feet on it and it's a tripping hazard. Also, you have multiple, I really like multiple sources of light. So this picture, that's the only good thing about this picture, is you have a couple sources of light, but then also anchor heavy things like big mirrors and armoires. That's why the art, you don't want that just lying there, because it will fall over, it will tip over, it will get damaged. Sure. You don't want that. Minimize the glass. I don't love the little glass table there, because if somebody does break it, you are dealing with the glass table. Even outside, I had a glass table over this year in the a patio table, and it broke, and it wasn't the person's fault. It wasn't the guest's fault. The wind picked up the umbrella and it smashed the umbrella down on the glass, and it broke. So now, note to myself, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to go with the wood table outside, or maybe stone.
Absolutely.
And think about focal points for photos. Yeah.
No, I like this this picture, but yeah, lots of hazards. I think the rule of thumb, like even though I don't do short-term rentals, but I understand things that need to be done. If you're renting the place, try to make it easy for cleaning, right? Even when I have a long-term rentals, I don't put carpet in my rentals at all because it's just so hard to remove. It's so easy to spill something and that's it. You're gonna have to replace that for the next tenant. No matter what you do, it just won't come out. The same with the walls. Well, try to make it all neutral colors. It's just easier to paint over.
And that's another reason why not to get rugs too, because people do spill on rugs. You know, oh, I want to have a little coffee in bed, and then, you know, something happens on a gray rug like that, you're cooked. Like, forget it. So the other thing too, please take professional photos. Don't skimp out. This is your marketing, 100% of your marketing. I want to say 100% of people find you online, unless it's a friend or a family that just, you know, believes you that it's a wonderful place. These photos are what's going to sell your place. So please spend the money, get professional photos, make sure that there is a focal point that's highlighted in every picture. Make it comfortable, but not cluttered. Make it memorable, but not weird. And sheets and towels. Because it's COVID, I'm on the fence about sheets and towels because I know people are coming from local places. So I would expect them to feel more. If it were me and I was going to an Airbnb, I would say I'm bringing my own sheets and towels. Yeah. But if that person says, I want to feel like it's a hotel experience and I want you to wash all the towels because this is my vacation, that's fine. That's fine. So that's really, you have to read when you look at an ad for a rental, make sure you find out if they provide sheets and towels, especially now during COVID. Yeah. So that's, you know, like the pretty much the basic stuff, and whatever you do, put some love into it and you'll have people come and stay.
Oh, that's so cute.
And that's
I like that. Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Colette, for doing this. You know, this is a really, really good point. Sometimes, you know, the little touches are the ones that will make a bigger difference for the experience of people, and also to get a good tenant. Remember, even if it's a short-term rental, you need to have a good person that is going to enjoy your place and also take care of it. So.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. So you do have to, just like a long-term rental, you do still have to set the rules up to say, okay, you know, I prefer if you didn't eat in the bedrooms. Say it. You know, if they say, oh, you know, whatever, you know, I'll just drink my wine in bed, then okay, fine, you have to deal with it. But again, if you don't say it, then the likelihood of something probably would happen. So even if there's, let's just say something like the plumbing. I actually had a very sweet couple stay with me, and the water heater breaker flipped. So the last day they were there, they didn't have hot water, and they didn't say anything. And I said, well, why wouldn't you say anything? They're like, oh, because we just thought it was like a thing, and you know, the water. I said, no, oh my gosh, are you kidding? I'm so sorry. Like, you should have said something. We would have troubleshot the problem and figured it out. So there are some very sweet people out there. Don't be afraid to you know, be a short-term rental landlord, because there are great people out there that would love to stay in your place. So even if you just have a room, and we talk about that too with finances, if you really are struggling during COVID to make ends meet, even renting out a room short-term, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, and you can pick the tenant. So if you only want women, if you only want, you know, a couple or a student, you can set the parameters. That's why I really like short-term accommodations. It's really, there's a little more flexibility that way.
Yeah, exactly. There's more flexibility, but also be prepared to do a little bit more work, because if you're having more people going through your place, then if you are in your house, it's easier because you're there. So you know when they're leaving, and then you can just quickly go there if you have another renter coming in a day or so, and you want to have the stuff ready. So if you have something, a rental that is farther away, then either you got to get somebody to help you, or be within driving distances that are it's comfortable for you to be able to replenish, you know, things in the kitchen, clean it up, all of that, especially now, right? So.
Yeah, and there are lots of property managers out there, but if you think you don't need a property manager, you just need, like, you know, so for me, I insist on, if it is further away, have a handyman and have a cleaning person.
Yeah.
And that's really, you can probably manage everything. Airbnb, I love the, you know, I'm not getting paid by them, but I really, I love their system. I find it much easier to manage and to navigate more than other short-term rental websites and apps. So really, I'm a big fan of Airbnb. That's what I use. But you don't even have to. You could go on Facebook now and you can post your STAs. Yeah. You can go on, you know, Kijiji, things like that. So as long as you have a system, you have the right insurance. That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
You have the safety things that normally you would have anyway. Like, you want to make sure that you have the smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. You want the fire extinguishers too. Whatever the city or your municipality is telling you to do for safety to keep your guests safe, you have to abide by it. Like, there's no faking that. You must do it. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Colette. So now I feel a little bit better about maybe doing a short-term rental, but I'll let you know if it's anything like that happening. So,
and again, if anybody has questions, follow me.
Yeah, and the same. If you don't know how much you can rent your room or your basement or anything in your house, please call Colette. If not, also look in Kijiji, Facebook, Airbnb. Take a look and see what it's comparable in your area. But you know, it's always good to have another eye. The same, if you want to have a second opinion, if the Airbnb that you're creating or the short-term rental,
right? And what did you just say?
Ideas, then just call any one of us. So.
Right. Even before we went live today, we were talking about being a professional and also having that personal experience. So really, when we were actually on too. They were saying it not just before, but actually on air too.
Yeah.
That really talked to us because we both have experience in those fields. So really, you know, ask people that have gone before you. You don't want to ever feel alone, especially when you're in a situation like that. Especially when you're renovating. If you need to renovate the house before you actually rent it, oh my gosh, there's so much information that could save you so much time and energy and money to not do the wrong thing and then have to go back and change it. Yeah. So always talk to someone that has the experience, not just the title.
Exactly. So that was my point about getting a realtor that has real estate investing experience, because as you know, there's so many realtors out there, and you know, some of them are really great, but if they don't have real estate investing experience, then they don't understand the things that an investor is looking for. So, all right, well, with that alone, this is great. Thank you so much, Colette, for putting this together. I hope it was beneficial to you. And for sure, leave us a comment, a message. Maybe you want to know something else about short-term rentals. Thank you, Colette, and we'll see you next week.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye.